That road to the month of May, the road to the 2018 iRacing Indianapolis 500 continues as week number 2 of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series. Friday night primetime will take place at Mazda Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Our coverage will start here, next, live on RaceSpot TV. Well, IndyCar might be ready for it in 2019. A historic deal signed with NBC Sports to be the full-time IndyCar broadcaster for 2019, 2020, and 2021. That's all about the real-world racing. But, of course, we are the official home of the iRacing Indianapolis 500, as we have been for the last 3 years. And we're not like ABC. We haven't got the history, but one thing we do better than anything else is IndyCar coverage, as we welcome you to week number 2 of Friday Night Primetime 2018 Season 2. It is the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca, Wilmington, and Connery Maddock, as we are set to go racing for 45 laps here today, Connery. And before we go any further, what a historic deal by IndyCar for what is going to be, I think, one of the best marketed sports series in the world outside of the NFL, the NBA, and the Premier League.
Yeah, exactly. And, well, that deal with NBC, let's just see how that one goes. You seem fairly optimistic about it, Will, but, well, see what they bring to the table, of course, for this season as well. That is, of course, for next season, the NBC stuff. But for this season, these new IR cars, these absolutely brilliant looking new Dallaras, they look absolutely fantastic out there on circuit right now. And there's a couple of good liveries out there as well. And speaking of liveries, there's Andreas Werner.
Yeah, Andreas Werner, we want to give a shout out to him for his overlay design, and all you see on your screen, all provided by him. Also to Simon Grossman from apgenneer.in for overlay animation and all the stuff they do behind the scenes, helping us make the broadcast work. And also live timing and scoring will be available once the race starts. Nick Thisson, RaceSpot.tv, live timing and scoring. Iswan Bala, finally, trackcams22.com. We need to touch on one point here, Connery, very quickly. You're a little bit sore right now. We talk about esports, iRacing as an esport, and of course, you've not been doing iRacing, but you've been taking part in Varsity, University of Derby, and esports has finally started to crack into the college scene in the UK.
Yep, exactly. Well, in the UK, we have had a league that's been running over the past couple of years, which is the National University Esports League. But as part of the Society's Varsity in my university, we had an esports event that was going on as well. We played actually a live LAN with Counter-Strike, so which is why my voice is a little bit sore right now, commenting that for like 4 hours straight and shouting about, you know, pew pew, I guess is the way I would say it. But yeah, it's just brilliant to see this industry grow and grow and grow.
Pew pew to race car. I think that's it's almost a good t-shirt thing there, to be fair.
Yeah, I think so as well. And I did make the comment that race cars isn't quite pew pew, but I still managed to do something with it.
Yeah, let's have a look then at qualifying times as it stands right now. We've got Gianni Petro, he's leading the way, 105.696. Henry Bennett in second. Michele Constantini, actually, as I say that, moves up into second place in that number 17 machine. Henry Bennett now down to third. Adria Perez in fourth. Joseph Burton Harris in fifth. Andres Roll in sixth. Michelle Ritchie in seventh. Moreno Sorica in eighth. Liam Quinn in ninth. And Andres Werner rounds out your top 10. It is a stacked field here today. And Gianni, well, 7,125 iRating.
Yeah, very, very high I rating. Well, there's a couple of other drivers in there as well. You've got Adria Perez, 6,550 as well. The number 3 car coming down the field. There's Fernando Guerrero as well, who has actually yet to set a lap time. He's on his first flying lap right now. Everyone else in the entire field has set a lap time. Yeah, indeed. So as we've got ourselves a total of 21 drivers who have qualified so far. Guerrero is on a lap right now. Here we are. We're on board him. He's one of the only few drivers on track as he tries to get himself a qualifying time in the Champs iRacing car. Now down towards this final corner he will come. Left-hander, very hard left-hander, wiggle there for him. And actually that final corner, Connery, is so difficult in any car. In a downforce car like an IndyCar, even more so. There's actually now onto a lap will go Guerrero, and he's not going to make it in time. Yeah, I don't think he's going to make it in time. He's only got a minute left on the clock, and it's definitely, well, it's about 1 minute 5 seconds for pole time here for Fernando Guerrero, but I don't think he's going to make it, but if he does, it's going to be very, very close. Yeah, of course. One of the really cool things is now the fact we've got ourselves the driver cam. The driver cam, it's a the Grand Prix St. Petersburg was absolutely fantastic, Connie. One of the innovations that IndyCar has brought for 2018. We're actually having a look on board of Guerrero now, on board his cockpit cam, and it really does give you an indication of the way the track moves across the racetrack. Yeah, it's always a fantastic addition to have. The IndyCar Series pretty much pioneered it. You have to say, you perhaps want to see it in some other open wheel series that we could mention as well. But out of the final corner, here comes Fernando Guerrero for the number 3 team. Won't quite make it, just a second short. Yep, so there's your starting grid then as we roll down for the second round of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series here on RaceSpot TV. And it will be the number 1 machine, Jenny Fitcher, then on the front row alongside Michele Constantini. Diac versus Club Italy, front row of the grid. Henry Bennett in 3rd place. Adria Perez, the only World Championship driver, in 4th place, with Joseph Burton Harris from Australia, New Zealand in P number 5. And Andreas Rowe from Club Hispo America in P number 6. Michelle Risky and also then Moreno Sorica in P number 8. Liam Quinn and Andres Werner round out your top 10. Rest of the qualifying results up on your screen as we stand. And as we say, 45 laps worth of racing here today at Mazda Raceway, Laguna Seca. This track really epitomizes the entire road to Indy. They have themselves the shootout here in the Global MX5 Championship. And it is a track that they've used on pretty much every step of the ladder. And today, round number 2 of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series will come here. And 45 laps, it means that it's 1 pit stop to the end. They will have a pace lap that they have to do as well here, Connery. Yep, and it's a 1 full pace lap as well. When usually on some of the more recent tracks, we'll see the pace car just start more 3/4 of the way through the lap, but no full pace lap here, which actually gives your drivers an opportunity to get some heat into those tires, and that's going to be important in these IndyCars because they don't have tire warmers, of course. So that might be a blessing in disguise, but the downside of this is that you're going to have to save fuel on this pace lap. Saving fuel will be useful. And I mean, let's talk about one thing very quickly here, Connery. Sebastian Bourdais winning at the Grand Prix of St. Petersburg after his horrific crash at Indianapolis. And I forgot how bad it was until I watched the tape and heard Alan Bestwick literally saying, "Oh my God." Yeah, it was just absolutely frightening stuff, and it's fantastic to see him come back from that sort of event. But you gotta say that incident with Rossi still divides opinion, doesn't it?
Well, yeah. Final lap, first Grand Prix, and that's the thing as well, Connery. What IndyCar has, he's a spec racing series, so to say. Now, yeah, you got the difference in Chevy and Honda, but it is a spec era kit. And what we saw at the Grand Prix in St. Petersburg, almost everyone universally enjoyed. It's a bit like IndyCar is a North American petrol-fueled version of Formula E right now.
Yeah, I mean, you can just see that in comparison to, to Formula One. We don't usually like to do that sort of comparison, but it's one that has to be done. These cars can follow quite closely behind each other. All of the teams are kind of in the mix there up the front. Any driver on a good day can win an event, and that's just not what you see in some other series.
Let's have a look at the front of your field then. There we are. Gianni leading the way behind the iRacing first safety car. And one thing worth noting about the Grand Prix St. Pete as well, fantastic racing. Won't say anything about the commentary, maybe. Actually, the commentary was fine with Adam Bestwick. But hey, world's fastest gamer livery, of course, on the #1 machine. Fernando Alonso went to Indy last year, Connery, and the heartbreak. And I will say one thing: I've never seen a crowd applaud a driver retiring from the Indy 500 the way they did Fernando Alonso.
Yeah, I bet all of them would have hoped that he hadn't retired anyway, but let's hope Fernando's luck starts to turn a little bit, especially with the new Renault engine in the McLaren in the Formula One series, and let's just hope he makes a return to IndyCar as well. I just want to see what he can do when he finishes the race. Yeah,
so it is Gianni on the inside, and then you got the Vortex Sim Racing driver Michele Constantini. The cars will line themselves up 2 by 2. Pace car is on towards pit road. Week number 2 of the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series is officially underway. Run the outside then for Constantini through turn number 1, can't do it. Behind side by side they go, and we've got all drivers through turn number 1, but close racing down in your mid-pack before through P number 8.
Yeah, absolutely. Multiple instances of side-by-sides. We head through the first sector. Now everything gets strung out single file, but Adrita Perez doesn't want to go single file. Number 2 driver down towards the inside of what's going to be Andreas Rau there. The number 16 machine has to hang it around the outside at the kink as well. He won't dare to go too wide through here. It's a single line all the way through there. Adrita Perez has to back out.
Yeah, we talk about not going too wide through there. We've seen 3 wide up into the corkscrew. And that indeed, yeah, the number 1 machine has spun it. He's looped it around down at, well, let's get a replay if we can. Here we are, coming into the corner. He lost it under brake and then cold tires in towards the corkscrew, turn number 7 and 8. And well, on board then, and yeah, lost it completely under braking then. For Gianni, down in P number 21 right now. Worst place to lose an IndyCar on a road course, period.
Yeah, and that is a very, very tricky braking zone indeed, no matter what car that you're handling up there. And that is very easy to do, just overdo it on the brakes up into there. And well done by Michele Constantini behind to avoid that one as well as all the other drivers behind checking up, making sure no one else got involved.
Yeah, on board right now with the driver in the number 4 position. That is Andrea Perez. Live timing and scoring, by the way, ladies and gentlemen, is available. Visit racesport.tv/timing. Perez remains in 4th place right now. The thing about this race is he's going to be pacing as Perez then goes wide. That's actually Michel Rucci who goes wide. Then down at turn number 5, up the hill they come through turn number 6 and in towards the corkscrew once again. I have to say as well, the driver of Andreas Rau is putting a lot of pressure onto Henry Bennett right now as they come into the second to last corner. And well, Andreas Rau in the Hispo America car is doing a sterling job.
Yep, he is, but Rau is really, as you say, harassing the back of Henry Bennett. And this is the battle for P number 2 now. Michele Constantini has made a gap at the front. It's down towards the inside goes Rau. Tries to scare Henry Bennett into going wide. But Bennett just took that actually wider entry. Tries to get the better exit off the complex. But he will just hold P2 for now.
Yeah, we've had a crash as well. The champ's iRacing car, Fernando Guerrero, we're trying to work his way through the field. We're on board of him in towards the corkscrew. He was fine. Oh, he lost it through the center of the corkscrew first time around. Then with the NTT data car tagging the number 15 machine, that was Andreas Warner from And Warner Design, and Andy Warner out of the event. You tell you one thing, Andy Warner cannot buy luck in the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series.
Yeah, exactly. It's just like he had nothing to do with that incident. Well, you just see Guerrero, he just tries to stick around the inside. He was kind of clear there was Werner, but then all of a sudden at the last second he wasn't. But the thing is, the move was already committed to, and as a result, both of those cars spin towards the gravel.
Top three drivers right now separated by just over 1 second on track. As you see, they work themselves past the start-finish line. It's Michele Constantini, Henry Bennett, and Andreas Rowe who go at it in towards 1 and 2. Well, Raul then pushes a little bit wide and turn around. 3-car incident on track almost there. Raul's out.
Yeah, right. It's definitely out. Heavy front wing damage there. And just looking at the replay side of things, Enrique Perez tried to capitalize on Raul going wide from behind, but Raul just kind of shut the door a little bit too firmly there, you could say. Or you could say that Enrique Perez also, that gap was always going to close on the exit of turn number 2. That's one, you can see it from either way.
Having a look on board with the driver of Joseph Burton Harris right now, who's in P number 4, you'll see carnage ahead of him as they come through turn number 1 and 2. And there you are, there's the incident. And he just avoids it, moves that car to left-hand side. He's now up into P number 4. A lot of drivers now with a lot of damage here. Very hard racing going as we go on board with Michelle Rishi. Damage to that front wing in that number 5 machine, and also the rear of Matteo Ugolotti has got substantial damage as well.
Yeah, but lots and lots of cars out there on track have at least a little bit of damage to the front wing side of things, so let's see how that one affects them. Of course, we do have one scheduled stop here at about the halfway point, lap 21 to around about lap 24 is when we expect people to start to head their way down on towards the lane. But gap at the front right now is just kind of fluctuating. It's up to 9/10 of a second right now, and that is just as a result of well, the cars behind now giving Henry Bennett a little bit of breathing space because they all clattered each other in turn 1.
And that's not going to be bad for Bennett actually, because he's a driver who does work really well in clean air, and I think being stuck behind Michele Constantini is going to hurt him. But Bennett is one of these people who very well can win this motor race. He works himself through second to last corner, and wow! Constantini goes wide then, down in the second to last corner. Bennett is unable to capitalize, but Constantini goes wide again. A little bit of the final corner, gap now down to 0.4 of a second.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just having a look at the track conditions. Track temperature is a little hot at 40 degrees, so that could be factoring into things as Constantini has to push wide again as Bennett almost goes for the move for the race lead, but the thing is not close enough to capitalize on the mistake.
Yep, so battle for P1 and P number 2 going right at it right now. Drivers out of the race. You got the driver Fernando Guerrero, who we talked about earlier on, number 3 machine, out. Andreas Warner on pit road. Andrea Perez is also in the same situation, and Andreas Rowe is on pit road. We saw him in that 3-car incident earlier on in this event, like number 6 or 45 going on right now. And I'm very interested to see if Bennett's going to try and really push and make the advantage. Well, of course, on the oval side here, Connery, we don't have push to pass. We do on the road side, and that means these drivers will get extra boosts of horsepower for 15 seconds, 10 times a race.
Yeah, and I know for a fact that Michele Constantini has been using his to try and pull out the gap a little bit there, because after he pushed wide coming through turn number 1 and 2 and Bennett had his chance, he basically used the push to pass, then coming down towards the straight down from around about turn number 4 down towards turn number 5, which is why he pulled out multiple tenths of a second in that sort of situation. So maybe Henry Bennett has a couple more saved up so that he can go on the offensive later on.
And that's a good part of the strategy game as well, Connery, because you got the opportunity to save them up and make yourself more available at the end of a motor race. If you're under pressure early on, there's always a habit to almost hit that push to pass button, because it does give you, in the simplest way of saying it, anyone who's watched anything like Need for Speed, for example, that kind of like almost NOS effect, as we have a look here at the driver of Henry Bennett in towards the corkscrew once again. But if you use them early, you don't have them later on, and it can make you very, very vulnerable.
Yeah, it really can, and we've seen so many races decided on whether the person behind or in front has the push to passes or not, and how much each driver has. But out the final corner now, Constantini's struggling to get the power down. Here comes the momentum shift now. Here comes Henry Bennett, has the run across the start-finish line, will make it side by side around the outside required, down in towards turn number 1, gets on the anchors, sliding is Constantini on the inside of the corner though. Fantastic battling for your race lead, well.
And he's got it. Does he? Bennett still side by side. And he's got the race lead. Bennett moves himself to the front of the field. Henry Bennett is your new race leader here at Laguna Seca. What will Constantini do? He's not going to dive down to the inside at turn number 5. But Henry Bennett, Club UK and Ireland, number 4 machine, up to the race lead.
Yeah, nice spot. A little tiny bit of front wing damage to Michele Constantini, so that could be all the difference now between these two drivers, which is why he's a little bit slow, I should say, while he's reading the race. But look at all the cars behind. There's Moreno Cirista there that's just come out of complete nowhere. There's Joseph Burton-Harris, Matteo Ugolotti also in this train, all fighting for these top 3 spots.
And all of a sudden, you're right, all these drivers, P number 1 through P number about 5, 6 on track, has the opportunity to win here today. Bennett is leading from Constantini, and then it is Moreno Surica in P number 3. On the run to turn number 2 is Constantini trying to make the move, not able to do so. And we've called it turn number 2 there. It looks like turn number 1, Connery, but Fogarty Corner turn number 1 really is just a left-hand kink.
Yeah, it is, and it just plays into the North American habit of naming even the slightest little bend in the road as an actual corner. So I'm not sure how to explain that.
Well, we are aboard with Ugolotti right now as he's hunting down the driver of Joseph Burton-Harris through turn number 6. Up the hill they come towards 7. The corkscrew once again. Ugolotti not going to be able to do anything then as they work themselves in towards the corkscrew. But for this mid-pack right now, Ugolotti, Burton-Harris, they are really in the hunt right now. It's a case of really keeping your nose clean more than anything else.
Yeah, keeping your nose clean, especially since a lot of cars out there haven't been keeping their nose clean with the amount of torn front wings out there. So you just got to keep it clean at least until the scheduled pit stops, as Joseph Burton-Harris has the run over the number 21 here of Soroka here. Down towards the inside goes Burton-Harris, slides through the apex, holds it, has to track out, has actually contact from behind. Soroka running straight into the back of him. Yep,
we've got a replay of that one coming up for you now. Let's have a look. Burton-Harris, battle for position as we saw him then going side by side in towards 1. Lost it almost on the inside, then made contact with, what was that, the number 4? Number 9 machine? As a lot was going on there. Or it's actually number 5 machine, Michelle Rucci, who we made contact with. We're going to look at this one again on board with the driver of that number 5 of Michelle Rucci, and it was the number 6, number 9 machine of Liam Quinn involved in that one. Can't show the replay, unfortunately, ladies and gentlemen. We're going back to live coverage right now as Henry Bennett then has got himself a 7/8 tenths of a second advantage now over Constantini. The gap behind Constantini, however, to Ugolotti is up to 1.5.
Yes, it is. So basically starting to become a little bit of a 2-horse race at the front of the field, but the amount that Constantini's gaining over Ugolotti isn't all that much per lap. He only gained around about half a tenth that lap, so Ugolotti could still be in contention, but look at the rear end of that car. There's a little bit of rear wing damage as he tracks out onto the dirt a little bit, coming through what would be turn number 3 there, as this field is starting to spread out just a little bit, but we've got a good battle going on right now between the 9 of Liam Quinn and Richard Holt, number 22 machine for P number 7.
Indeed, so let's actually ride on board for a few moments with the driver of Richard Holt. Give you a little bit of RaceBot TV fan immersion. One of the difficult things, once you get into this kind of like midway through a stint run, is passing. We'll talk about it a lot here, Connery, on the ovals. New Hampshire Motor Speedway was one of them. We'll see it at a number of different tracks. But passing can be difficult, and this is where the patience game come in. I remember talking to someone the other day and saying that IndyCar is one of these cars where you cannot get too aggressive, because if you do, then you are just going to lose lap time overall. Holt right now, he runs himself in 8th position. He's looking to pass Liam Quinn. You try and push too hard behind the driver for 2-3 laps, so his tyres will really start to overheat, although Holt has a good run into 6.
Good run, but he can't capitalize, and it's such a risk to try and go too wide down through that kink. But yeah, you're completely right. If you're running in this 30 air, then those tires aren't really going to like that. They're going to really start to complain. They're going to start to overheat. But the thing is, in these IR18s, these new IR18s for this season, this 30 air effect has been reduced, so you can follow a little bit closer without getting punished as much as you would in a DW12.
And we saw that in the IndyCar Grand Prix of St. Petersburg, presented by Honda a few days ago even, on the ABC network. But the thing that's worth noting is that how quickly IndyCar and iRacing got this car out. As we're going to have a look again at Henry Bennett, he's now got a 1.5 second advantage over Michele Constantini. And well, when the DW12 came out, it took 18 months for that car to come out for reasons that's probably not worth talking about here. But the fact they had the IR18 out before they even took the track at St. Petersburg, and the fact that the car does behave just like we expected it to.
Yeah, it's absolutely fantastic effort from both the IndyCar guys and, of course, the iRacing guys as well to get this car out, even before they took themselves to the track in the real world. So we want a little bit more of that sort of punctuality and a little less of the iRacing curse of getting a car on the service just as it starts to change or gets phased out.
Ugolotti right now is putting a lot of pressure on Michele Constantini, and in terms of lap time as well, he's gained the last 3 laps. Ugolotti is frustrated behind the wheel of that number 10 machine. He is going to try and find a way to get into P number 2. 2 Italian drivers, P number 2, P number 3, and Ugolotti then putting some dirt onto those tyres, as Holt, by the way, has lost that position now to Liam Quinn.
Yes, he has, and I think that was actually coming down in towards turn number 1. There's actually Richard Holt, loses the position to Yo Valverde, actually, the number 14 machine. As Valverde is now back behind Richard Holt, so these two cars are scrapping for P8, P9, starting to let Liam Quinn get away. Yeah,
as here's a replay then, once again, as these two are going at it. Holt into P number 9. Let's go and have a look at Constantini again, and that gap between himself and Ugolotti. And I was talking about 1.2 seconds gain by Ugolotti over the last 3 laps. However, now into a situation where Ugolotti is in that dirty air. We're going to see that one as the times go past the start-finish line. 4 attempts lost that last time by Ugolotti.
Yeah, and the fastest lap of the event was just set by your current race leader, 107.1. Fastest lap of anyone so far. And we might not see anyone get close to that until we get some sets of fresh rubber on these cars.
Yep, actually, let's have a look at Henry Bennett then and go on board of him for a couple of minutes here on Racebot TV. One of the issues about a short track here, Connery, is that lap traffic comes into play very early on in the game. As we have a look right now, and that is the driver of Andres Rowe. Of course, we had damage earlier on in this motor race, and he's back on track right now. Argentinian driver, but he's almost a lap down from your race leader. And there you can see the actual gap it is currently. Not going to show up on our screens. We'll turn the graphic off.
Yep, we will, but this day hasn't been great for Andres Rau, and actually he's just going to pull off to the side of the track and just let your race leader through, just coming up to the corkscrew there. And Andres Rau, he was competing for those top 3 positions earlier on in this race, but the thing is, got himself involved in that incident coming down in towards turn number 1 and 2 in the early stages. And obviously he's had to come down on towards the line to get at least that front wing change. But if there's any remnants of suspension damage, that'll be affecting him for the rest of this race.
Holt versus Quinn right now. That is still going on for P number 7 on track as we go on board the driver of Richard Holt. Once again, Holt cannot find a way to get back into that contention with Liam Quinn, as we're going to have a look at the movers and shakers in this event so far. We're going to go on the left-hand side of your screen as Austin Espartee is out of the motor race. You got an update on that one, Connery?
I think it's just a solo car incident. He was very, very slow heading up towards the corkscrew, and I think this is actually a little bit of damage that was caused earlier on in the lap before, because he was incredibly slow. He's missing half a front wing. I'm not entirely sure where that happened, but the reason why he did just decide to call it quits is that he did push wide coming through corkscrew and then just parked it on the side of the racetrack.
Yeah, and let's have a look actually at Liam Quinn, the same P number 7, that ongoing battle going on right now for P number 7, P number 8. But movers and shakers in this event, of course, we've had some issues, but Matteo Ugolotti up 9 places here today. And I'll tell you one thing, Ugolotti now working himself past that traffic, is not yet out of this. We go on board of him, traffic is passed, and he comes in towards turn 1. The gap between himself and Henry Bennett 2.2. He is losing time, but he is up 9.
Yeah, up 9 positions, which is an absolutely brilliant recovery from what was a lackluster qualifier for Ugolotti. He gets a little bit of a slide on coming through turn number 3 there, but it's not too much of an issue for him. He still has that little bit of rear wing damage that he has to be concerned about there with the rear downforce. A little bit of an altered front wing, at least on my end of things as well, for Matteo Ugolotti. So it's still a lot of pace in that car, even though he has this very bit of damage. Yeah, we talked a little bit earlier about Jarl Valverde, as he is currently now in 9th place. Saw him battling with Richard Holt earlier on in this event, and he runs himself in that 9th position, but Holt is not too far ahead, and Jarl is in one of those positions where he could well still yet get a top 5 if he manages to get himself, in my opinion, past Holt before pit stops and then do a stonking in lap. Yeah, arguably he has to be he has to get past both of these cars before the pit stops, but that is a huge ask. As Richard Holt now harassing the back of Liam Quinn in towards the final corner, but this is a corner which is basically a corner where you have to set up your run. It's not really a corner where you just randomly sling one down the inside, because that makes things very interesting when it comes to a drag race down the pit straight. But here we go, Richard Holt down towards the inside of turn number 1, wheel to wheel with Liam Quinn, has to take the long way around. I think Richard Holt's going to get this one.
Still side by side in towards turn number 2. And he's got it. Richard Holt now up into P number 7. So Holt is on the move. And there is some damage, of course, to the driver of the number 9 machine of Liam Quinn as it stands. He might... That's going to be an interesting one. Does he get that damage repaired during the pit stops, or does he try and ride it out? Because this is a short race. Only about 50 minutes in terms of racing here. That pit stop window opens next lap, to be honest here, Connery, and I would say, oh, there's a big look up there by Liam Quinn. Goes wide, goes off.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, he just gets the slide coming back onto the racing circuit as well. Has to stay wide to let Zach Campbell all the way back through. And Liam Quinn, I think he could possibly come down now if he wanted to, as he does push wide again, coming through the penultimate corner of turn number 10. So that car not really handling the way that he wanted to with that front wing damage. I take that front wing change in the stop.
Henry Bennett, though, has got a 3-second advantage right now over Matteo Ugolotti. So Henry Bennett is continuing to extend that lead. And, well, I said earlier on here, Connery, that if he got himself clean there, he had the opportunity to go for race victory, and he's now pulling away from that 10 car.
Yeah, but he's even putting bits of lap traffic in between himself and Ugolotti as well. There's James King currently heading himself out of the corkscrew. So we're on towards, I don't know, lap 20, lap 21. This is where we start to see the pit window opening for your drivers now to come down and get fuel and rubber to the end.
Yep, so the driver of Henry Bennett will stay out on track. As behind there is Matteo Ugolotti working himself amongst some traffic. He is past it. The driver behind, Michele Constantini, is through as well. It is the driver of Sicilia, who now, I take that on back entirely. It's the driver of Moreno Seca, who is actually working himself past in traffic. The only thing about the IR18 is that there's a lot of red, white, and black that's coming back into this series. And, well, one thing we will say here, Connery, is that we don't like red, white, and black because it makes it very hard to understand what's going on in terms of cars.
Yeah, it makes it very difficult to tell one car from the other, but that's just a problem that we will have to deal with. Thankfully, on the sim racing side of things, we get some extra assistance rather than just relying on the paper spotting guides.
Yeah, I'll tell you one thing as well. I was watching an Asian MotoGP sanctioned event, and everyone was in red and white cars, and you could not see anything except for the helmet and except for the fact they had different numbers on the front of their motorbikes. That made things really hard to have a look at. Having a look at battles going on track, we've got a lot of retirees now. Esparti is out. Talked about that. The number 11 machine is out as well. Live timing and scoring still remains here on Racebot TV /timing. But Bennett still continues to lead the way. Ugolotti in second, Constantini in third. And then we've got this driver, the number 21 machine. We go on board of him once again. It is Seca, who is continuing to run in that fourth place. Closing down Constantini, however, has pulled away from Ricky, who runs in P number 5. P number 6 is a driver of Joseph Burton Harris. He's the only Aussie New Zealand driver in the field. Of course, to Murray Connery, we've got ourselves the VRS GT World Championship Series, round number 2.
Yep, we do. We have an action-packed Saturday, to say the least. We have at least the Pro Mazdas in the morning European time at Phillip Islands. As you say, Blancpain GT World, well, not Blancpain, VRS GT World Championship as it is right now. I did blow it, but that was 3 hours of Sebring. Me, Paul, and Randy will be taking you through that one. You've also got the Neo 24 Hours of Le Mans. Constantini's down on the lane.
Yeah, so Constantini's come on to pit road before many others. Actually, Burton Harris coming in this time by. It'll be very interesting to see where Burton Harris will get himself a new front wing as well. So it's damaged to that. But this is going to be one of those really busy weeks here on Racebot TV and on iRacing Live. We've got ourselves the VRS GT World Championship round number 2. We've also got ourselves the 24 Hours of Le Mans from the Neo Endurance Series. We got ourselves so much other action going on. I know we got ourselves the Classic IndyCar Series first round in terms of IndyCar that will be taking place at Homestead Miami Speedway. This, Connery, will be one of the biggest weekends we have done in a long time.
Yeah, it will be, and as a result, we are stretched a little thin, but maybe we'll be seeing some new names, new voices that perhaps the viewers have not heard before on iRacing broadcast, and believe me, I can't wait to see how well those guys do, but it's going to be busy, it's going to be, most importantly, I hope it's going to be exciting for the viewers.
Race leader Henry Bennett on pit road. One thing I will say, Connery, get your voice ready before tomorrow.
I'm trying, but this isn't helping.
Henry Bennett is on pit road then. Pit stop time for him. Dropped off the gun. 9.7 out and away. That is faster than Constantini. In fact, that's faster than also Michel Ricci back out. He will regain the race lead once pit stops are all said and done. Matteo Ugolotti right now leads this motor race, but he should be on towards pit road before too long. There we are. We turn our attention over to him. We go on board, actually, as he works himself through the corkscrew. And pit entry here. We expect Ugolotti to come on towards pit road this time by here, Connery. But pit entry here is harder than you think.
It is so difficult. It's basically a hairpin turn in the middle of pit entry, and Ugolotti gets himself around there just fine, enters pit lane just fine. But even though Henry Bennett's stop time was seconds quicker than everyone else, his lane time was actually longer than most other drivers that have come down on towards the lane. So that could certainly be interesting. Let's see how this factors into the gaps when Ugolotti heads his way off the lane.
Yeah, listening to him. And he wants those repairs. Oh, there's an issue of Ugolotti. 20.2, he comes out and away behind the number 21 machine. Well, Renault Seca ahead then of Matteo Ugolotti. Two Italian drivers. A lot of Italian drivers here today, Connery. Oh, and also one of the death traps there in the iRacing Verizon IndyCar Series coming out of pit road. Both Seca and Ugolotti both push wide.
Yeah, you do. It's so easy to do that on that particular pit exit, but the reason why the stop time was so long, Ugolotti did want to take that rear wing replacement. That's an extra 10 seconds on the stop time, so he must have worked out that it's worth it just to hold there and take that new rear wing instead of actually just... he's very slow up towards the corkscrew, in fact. Was that a missed gear?
Yeah, let's have a look at a replay, actually, because that was weird for him on board. Listen in. Well, he didn't clip the curb. He just slowed down and shifted down 2 gears about 200 meters early there. What's going on there for Ugolotti? Constantini, right, by the way, is up into P number 2. First driver to pit, of course. He won't have a tyre lifespan, but he's 3.3 seconds behind Henry Bennett right now.
Yeah, he is, and that gap must be seemingly pretty hard to overcome, especially when it's 19 and a half laps left in this race. It's certainly possible that this could happen, but with the clear air pace that Henry Bennett has shown in the first half of this event, it's seemingly rather unlikely without outside influence. Yeah,
we're going to take a quick break here on Racesport TV and on iRacing Live, but there are your top 8. Henry Bennett leads by 3.5 seconds over Michele Constantini, Michele Rucci in 3rd place, Renault Seca in 4th, and Matteo Ugolotti rounds out your top 5. Side by side, we'll come back in a moment's time on Racesport TV, side by side. Are you ready for it? Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to Racesport TV and on iRacing Live. Richard Holt then has lost a position and a lot of time, actually, to the driver of Yal Valverde as they battle for P number 8 on track. Lap number 29 of 45. And we scored complete here this time by. Worth noting, of course, we've been talking about IndyCar so much in this broadcast because this is an IndyCar broadcast. TAS starting this coming weekend, but also, Connery, LMP1 is here on iRacing.
LMP1, yes, the Porsche 919H and the Audi R18, both on the iRacing service as well. Some would say perhaps finally, but we have LMP1 prototypes now to join perhaps the LMP2, the HPD, even though it is an old LMP2, and the new GTE cars, so we can have almost a full WEC grid.
Yeah, we just had Pete Howard, by the way, his 8.4-second pit stop. He has lost himself one position. That is also Yao Bird in the number 14 car, as Yao is up now to P number 7. Yao is doing a fantastic job charging back to his field. One thing that's worth noting as well is that the hype towards this year's Indianapolis 500, 36 drivers looking to qualify. That means bumping is back for the first time in a while. But Michelle Ritchie fast off today, 106. He does have Michelle in the number 3 position. Trying to close down Michelle Constantini, won't get there in time, but 15 laps, one way to go.
Just as he set that fastest lap, he decided to have a half spin going down in towards turn 1 and 2. So from hero to zero for Ricky at the moment, but let's hope he just gets back on his feet, tries to recover from that slight spin. That's just going to put him behind a little bit more than he necessarily needed to with 15 and a half to go.
Yeah, and some drivers opt to do that. We're on board right now. And there is a spin there from Michelle. Oh my word, that was a bad one. But he does get it back on track there in the Purchase car, attacking Purchase car. Well, that's what cost him lost about 6.6 seconds there. And for Michelle, that is pretty much, and at that point, he closed back the engine. Okay, so he's constantly getting right now.
Yeah, he comes across the line now, and that lap time quite representative of what happened, 110.6, and when you consider normal race pace around about the 108 flat mark for most of your field, that is just absolutely not going to cut it. 2 seconds lost at least, just because of that little half spin. So let's just see. Matteo Ugalotti's not that far behind as a result of this one, and he's been running competitive lap times all day, a 107.3 last time. That was actually much faster than your race leader, who did a 107.8 last time. So Ugalotti really flying.
Yeah, Ugalotti the fastest driver on track as it stands. If it was it could have been for Richie getting a fast lap and then stonking it all down in turn number 2. Well, on board with Ugalotti right now. Number 10 machine smells a bit of blood as we go on board, runs wide on the exit. And of course, the qualifications and incident point are one thing here at Laguna Seca that does have to be taken into account.
Yeah, man, and well, if my JRT is anything to anything to be believed, Ugalotti might be on something like 15 incident points right now with how much he's been running wide. So he has to be a little bit careful here if that is the case. There's still 14 laps to go, so he can't be wanting to get all that many incidents. He has had a bit of contact and a little bit of a slide coming off of turn number 3 there. So even though he's on this high incident count, he's still going very, very aggressive.
He really is, as he tries to close down the driver, Michelle Ritchie. And you can see the last time by again, 1 tenth of a second, with 3.2 seconds back. And what a wide run there by Michelle Ritchie, and that will allow Ugalotti to go past in towards the corkscrew. We've seen a lot of drivers run wide here today, and that was another one. Ugalotti now up into P number 3, and here is the replay. One overhead coverage brought to you by And1 Design, the official graphics partner of Racesport TV as well. Ritchie just ran right down at the corkscrew. He kind of had that double stab on the steering wheel. He was trying to control his slide, I think, there, Connery.
Yeah.
Wasn't able to do so.
Yeah, he got a little bit of a twitch coming off the corner, and as a result, trying to correct that, did take himself into the gravel. So it's quite unfortunate. But the thing is, if you run even a little bit wide here at Laguna Seca, you're going to go into that dirt, you're going to go into that gravel, and there's no Tilcadrome huge runoff to try and save you. You're pretty much, you know, you've made your bed, now you have to sleep in it.
I even find that Tilcadrome's
Whoa! That what a preposterous suggestion.
Henry Bennett continues to lead this motor race right now as the gap between himself and Michele Constantini is 3.2 seconds last time by. Michele Constantini is 100th of a second faster than Henry Bennett, but the gaps are very small between the two of them. Bennett right now is managing that race gap, and that's the thing about a driver like Bennett. He will get himself the advantage, go through the pit stop sequence, and then he will just manage that race gap. He does not want to set the fastest lap after lap after lap after lap, and now Bennett knows he's got the opportunity to lose 1/10, 2/10 of a second a lap and still win this race.
And he's losing 4/10 of a second a lap to Alexis Ugolotti, but I think Ugolotti is, you know, he's too far back at this point to be able to do anything about the race lead. What Ugolotti could set his sights on is Constantini, maybe before the end of this race, depending on how things go. But you're exactly right about Henry Bennett. He's just gotten himself to the front, gotten himself a comfortable gap, and he's just managing it. He doesn't want to, as you said, set qualifying times every single lap. That would just ruin the tyres and make things perhaps a little bit sketchy at the end of the race in terms of the tyre wear.
That's the gap that you want to look at from Ugolotti. He has gained himself 1 second over the driver, Michele Constantini, over the last 3 laps. And he's continuing to do so right now. Ugolotti is on a charge. 1 lap on board of him then. Racesport TV, fan version. For him coming up on your screen right now, Connery. Aaron had an issue. Oh, no, number 6.
Yeah, and actually, yeah, down into the corkscrew as well. So multiple instances in the same lap for Pete Harrod. The first one coming down into the kink, just clattered the curb a little bit too much, spun in towards the middle of the track, and then in towards the corkscrew, locked up the brakes on entries. So one thing led to another for Pete Harrod, and that's a horrible lap. In fact, he's brought it down on towards the lane.
Yeah, it looks like maybe catching that curb on the inside of turn number 6 gave him a bit of suspension damage, because that is what can happen to these cars if you hit a high curb. And just having a look now at Harrod, yeah, he has suspension damage from what he had in turn number 6.
Yeah, actually a short stop for him, so he's going to come back out onto the racing circuit. So maybe not as much damage as we initially feared with the start, with just a short stop in the box like that. Maybe a second or so of optional repairs perhaps for Pete Harrod, as he does come out in front of Matthew Ugolotti, albeit 1 lap down here. So Ugolotti, you can see how much Ugolotti is pushing that car. He's so twitchy off the corners. He's just extracting 110% pace out of that car.
Look, I am here.
Yep, and Happy Herod just had absolutely no complaints about that one. Does get himself well out of the way, so it allows Ugolotti to go back on the charge. But looking further down the field for other close battles, you've still got one perhaps between Richard Holt and Zach Campbell that could be going on here. But Campbell did lose half a second on that last lap, so we'll just have to see if things escalate even further in terms of Richard Holt pulling out the gap. But in terms of the rest of this race, Ugolotti on the charge is the big theme.
One of the things that is worth talking about here, Connery, is iRacing and safety class. And well, safety racing wise, we've got ourselves the majority of the drivers who are running themselves down on the A class. We've got one World Championship driver and one driver in the B class. That's driver Zach Campbell, who were running with on board for a few minutes there in the MyJack car. Now, safety racing is one thing, of course, but also iRacing is another. Holt can afford to lose his position, Zach Campbell, and he will still gain iRacing.
Yeah, that does seem to be the case for them. So let's just keep a close eye on that one. Even though Zach Campbell, you know, when we first mentioned it, he did have that half a second deficit on the lap we were talking about a couple laps ago, but he's closed that gap back up. But this gap is just fluctuating over the course of the lap. These two drivers are faster in just different areas of the racing circuit. Now, that might be either down to driver preference or the setup difference between the cars. As Campbell, he had a little bit of a sketchy entry to the kink there. I was afraid he was about to push wide, but no, he does recover the corner quite nicely there. So that's corkscrew is just absolutely fine for him. So no damage at all. He's going to be off out of the way and still trying to chase Holt down.
Yeah, and don't forget, ladies and gentlemen, this Sunday, it's back. The classic IndyCar Series here on RaceBet TV and on iRacing Live. The third year we have broadcasted this series, and the first race will be at Homestead, Miami Speedway. Yes, it might well be the IR18 that now takes center stage, and yes, we have the fond memories of the DW12, but it is the IR05, the first IndyCar on iRacing. The home to Miami Speedway in that old car, Connery. I can tell you with so many words how fun it is to drive.
Yeah, definitely more fun than at least the DW12 was to drive, and I know there's a big community still in and around supporting that car and what it can do. And Homestead, Miami, that is just an absolutely crazy racing circuit for IndyCars. I remember when I did, admittedly, the Indy Fixed series just as a couple what would be a year ago now for me. It was always a racing circuit that really provided some absolutely brilliant action. So watch out for that one in the IR05s instead of the DW12s or the IR18s.
Yeah, this driver, Henry Bennett, has just set himself the fastest lap of the day so far. As we're just having a look on board as he works himself through the corkscrew. Last time by 1:06.833. Fast lap of the day. He's gone purple. Down into the second to last corner he will come again. Down into the final corner he will come again. And I'm wondering if he's going to try and do the same. He gets a real focus on the exit of the final corner with now 4 laps to go. 1:07.6 lap time play. Well, make sure you need one fast lap here at the stage of Connery, but you cannot necessarily beat him together
Yeah, that's exactly what we saw. And well, if you really wanted to go to the for the fastest lap, then he could have just used any push the passes that he had left over just to get the fastest lap. But we'll have to see if that one is the case there, since he's about 3.7 seconds ahead of Michele Constantini, and Constantini's just always dropping off the back of him, so he's not going to come under any threat at all by the end of this race. But the person who is going to come under threat by the end of this race is Constantini. Ugalotti's getting closer and closer with every single lap, 9/10 of a second taking out that last time.
Yeah, and we've got Zach Campbell, again close. Battle for position, and Campbell still can't get past Holt. Holt's slowing down quite a bit after the last 20 or so laps here. We've got 4 to go, and I think all of a sudden that Holt is just holding on to P9.
Yeah, that seems to be the case now, so this gap will continue just to fluctuate over the course of the lap, as these lap times have been just being traded either way. Sometimes it goes to Holt, sometimes it goes back to Campbell. It just, the pendulum swings back and forth. But through the corkscrew, they'll go all the way down the hill. I always love this section of the racetrack. It's basically like a roller coaster all the way down into this penultimate corner, which is actually slightly cambered towards the inside there. You can take a lot more speed than you originally think coming down through there. Then into the slow speed hairpin for the final corner, then make sure you get the power down for the run down across the line. And I don't think it's going to be a great lap time for Zach Campbell. No, it's a 108.6 for him, a 108.1 for Holt.
As we stay on board of Campbell then just at the moment, he's losing 4 time. Don't forget also the 24 hours of Nürburgring, a part of the Neo Endurance Series on Racewalk TV and on iRacing Live. It's going to be a long weekend for Tewksbury, and Dan will be bringing you coverage of Neo Endurance Series 24 hours of Le Mans as well. Connery, it's a huge race. Yes, no LMP1, still great.
Yeah, it will be absolutely fantastic to see what will be the first 24 hours of Le Mans of the year for 2018 on iRacing. So we'll see how that one will go. But in terms of this race out there on circuit right now, Holt and Zach Campbell closer than they ever have been. Campbell gets a good run coming out of the final turn, and we'll just tuck in that slipstream of Richard Holt heading down towards turn number 1. He has to go for the inside here, but no, that's the defensive inside line there taken by Richard Holt, and he gets the car slowed down for the apex as well. That's good defensive driving from Holt.
Yeah, so it looks like Campbell is using those push the passes there down the straightaway, but Holt is able to respond. But it's a kind of mouse game, because us as broadcasters, we get an indication of when the driver is using push the pass, but the drivers themselves, well, they have to be reactive to that as we now go on the final lap for the driver of Henry Bennett. And we have to say here, of course, he started this race. Oh, say what you want to say.
Yeah, actually, Ugalotti very close now to the back of Constantini. We're going to have a fight for P number 2 on the final lap.
We are, and it's just a case of now, has Ugalotti got enough left in the tank to try and make the move? And Michele Constantini, he really now has his one opportunity. He's messed it up there, down towards turn number 5. He won't really get a run unless there's a mistake by Constantini. He uses the push to pass then on the final lap of this event here at Laguna Seca. Closes right back up then to the rear of Michele Constantini, but cannot do anything into the corkscrew as Henry Bennett will head himself down towards the final corner and right about now, and he is going to claim victory, and he will do so right now. Lap traffic ahead of him. What can happen between Constantini and Ugalotti? Spin there for Matteo Ugalotti, and Ugalotti spun around, but he will remain in 3rd place. No loss to him. Ugalotti tried so hard, and he gets so far, but Connery, in the end, it really doesn't matter.
No, it doesn't matter at all, and I don't think he was even close enough to make the move on Constantini coming down into the final corner, so it's kind of an interesting spin if you take that into consideration. He got 2 tires onto the curb there, which could have been a factor, but you could say his chance was actually coming down on towards the brakes, in towards the corkscrew, and then getting momentum off the corner, but he failed to do so, failed to keep himself close enough. Still a fantastic P number 3 for Ugalotti, though. +8 for the day. Impressive performance.
Yeah, and I will say one thing as well. Yes, Club UK and Ireland win here today, but P number 2, 3, and 4, and 5 are all Club Italia drivers. If this is a World Cup of iRacing here, Connery, Club Italia will be fucking happy.
Yes, they will be happy. Is maybe apologies for the language that was used just there, but yeah, absolutely brilliant for the Italians, and I know they do. Quite a few of them do love well, these IndyCars in general, not just the IR18, and they've put out a fantastic performance. You've got Seca there, you've got Ugolotti, you've got Constantini as well. So again, I just like impressive performance. I can't really fault them.
So there's your race results then from Mazda Raceway, Laguna, Seca. Henry Bennett wins, Michele Constantini second, Matteo Ugolotti in third, Michele Ricci in third, and Moreno Schuricha in P number 5. P number 2, 3, 5 there for Club Italia. New Zealand, Australia, Joseph Burton Harris in P number 6. Alfa Romeo then, he started, well, in one down at the rear of the field actually. We got him up to P number 7. We talked about his progress over the course of this race. Liam Quinn in number 8, Richard Holt in 9th, and Zach Campbell rounds out your top 10. There are the remainder of the results up on your screen right now. I'm going to take a quick break here. Race what's back. Post-race coverage after these messages. Once again, photo finish here at the Indianapolis Motor Speedway. Will it be Tim Hogan? It's going to be Christopher DeMerit at the line. Henry Bennett won the day today here in the... And while Henry Bennett wins, Henry Bennett is your winner here today. He's not here to talk to us. We have, however, got P number 2. That is Michele Constantini, stood by with Connery Maddock.
Yes, I am, and well, this is one of the very many Italians that are out there on circuit today. The highest placed one, P number 2 for Michele Constantini. And well, first things first, that first stint didn't really exactly go to plan with the amount of damage that you sustained to your car. Just tell us about how that was affecting you.
Actually, I wasn't damaged in the first stint. I managed to avoid Gianni there at the corkscrew. And yeah, just I didn't have the pace, obviously, to stay in front of Henry. So he passed me. I was slower than him. I was even slower than Michele Ricci and Matteo, but Matteo got some damage at the rear wing, so he had a longer pit stop, and Michele got some damage as well. So yeah, I mean, it wasn't the pace I was hoping for, but it was enough for P2, which is very, very good for me.
Yeah, and then in that second stint, after all the pit stops had got done, you had what was initially a comfortable gap back to the number 10 of Matteo Ugolotti, but that gap came down rather quickly, shall we say, didn't it?
Yeah. As I said, Matteo was way faster than me, and yeah, he was in front of me before the pit stop, but then he got his rear wing replaced. But yeah, considering my pace and everyone else's pace and the names of some of the guys in that race, I'm very, very happy with P2. Considering I'm more of an oval guy, so yeah, pretty happy with that.
Yeah, and coming on to the new car, of course, the new car for this season, the IR18. And, well, how was the transition from the DW12 to the IR18, at least in terms of the road racing here? Do you drive the car any differently? Are there any quirks that the IR18 has that the DW12 doesn't? So just take us through the differences between the cars.
Well, yeah, it's not that much of a difference actually, but on road courses the IR18 is a little easier to drive. It likes curb a little more, so it doesn't bounce as much as the DW12 used to do. And yeah, on road courses that's pretty much about it.
Yeah, and we'll get to see a lot more of it over the course of the season as I believe we're covering all of the weeks here of the Verizon IndyCar Series here on iRacing. Is there anyone you want to thank before we let you go, Michele?
Yeah, I would like to thank Vortex Sim Racing and our sponsors Logical and JRT for the continuous support they give me. And I would like to thank also Michele Ricci, Matteo Ugolotti and Alessandro Dalle Donne for the setup work we did together. It was rather more of a driving talk because we didn't do much to the setup actually, but yeah, it's always fun to work with them. So yeah, I would like to thank them as well.
Well, there we go. Back to you, Will. Constantini, P2, fantastic result.
It is indeed. As next time out in 1 week, Connery, we head ourselves to the tricky triangle, Pocono Raceway.
Pocono, the 3-turn oval, as it's sometimes alluded to as well, and that is going to be very, very interesting in these Indy cars, and it can cause a little bit of carnage. At least it did in the DW12 with the aero push. That was pretty much a trademark of that car. With the reduced dirty air of these cars, though, pretty much anything could happen.
Well, yeah, we've seen 7 wide, of course, in the Verizon IndyCar Series, and that's the thing about Pocono. Anything can happen. We've got ourselves tonight the American Dirt Series Sprint Car 360s at Knoxville Raceway. We've got ourselves a Pro Master Championship overnight also at Phillip Island. The VRS GT iRacing World Championship at Sebring. Let's talk about that one very quickly there, Connery, because it's going to be a very interesting race.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And, well, the big theme for that race is can TTL Esports, capitalize on a good first round result? Can they continue on that sort of momentum? Or was it just a fluke from Joshua Rogers being such an expert at that track in the V8 supercars? We will just have to see. I expect the FA Racing G2 guys to be very, very strong at Sebring.
Yeah, we've also got the Neo Endurance Series 24 Hours of Le Mans. Starts at 5 p.m. GMT here on Racebot TV, all race long. So you enjoy that one. And while Connery, you and I are doing a little bit of it, we've got a lot of commentators, a lot of things happening for that race.
Yeah, we absolutely do, and well, it's going to be tough, a little bit tough on us, but it's going to be even tougher on the drivers to go 24-hour racing at perhaps the track that had pretty much made 24-hour racing a thing, Le Mans. This is going to be absolutely brilliant, and we're bringing all 24 hours of it, so no break in between where we go perhaps to a different broadcaster. We're going to have it all here on Racebot TV, so stay tuned for it.
Yeah, we've also got ourselves other races as well. That includes the V8 Super Truck Series that'll be going on round number 2 at Sonoma. We got ourselves iRacing Dirt Night, midgets at Lima Land, GRC at Iowa, and the USAC 360 cars going on down at Volusia. So a big night of the iRacing Dirt Nights here on Racebot TV on iRacing Live. The Logical Classic IndyCar Series will return. That is this Sunday. Round number 1 will be at Homestead Miami Speedway. So catch that one 6 p.m. GMT. That is 7 p.m. for you people watching in United Kingdom, because of course the clocks go forward 1 hour this coming weekend. So that makes life even harder for commentators, because technically we're doing 25 hours worth of broadcasting, Connery.
What, do I get the chance to bill for that much?
No.
That's a shame. That is an absolute shame.
Sorry. But that's all we got time for here tonight. This has been round number 2 of the Verizon IndyCar Series. iRacing Live, Friday night prime time. Wolverton, Connery Maddock. These are the people who get it done for us. First of all, too, it's one about our trackcams22.com for track cameras. Andreas Warner and One Design, the official helmet of Valtteri Bottas. Check him out. And the helmet from Andreas Warner this coming Sunday, the first round of the FIA Formula 1 World Championship. Simon Grossman, Aptioneer.in for our ovulation. Nick Thisson for our lifetime in scoring. We are out. We'll see you for a very busy weekend on Racebot TV and on iRacing Live. We'll talk to you soon. Good night from Laguna Seca.